flashed on the screen. There'll be an ID number presented and a passcode for you to get in. We encourage people from home to call in, understanding that everybody that wants to be heard needs to be heard on any and all communications that they want to hear tonight. Tonight, we're going to open with a flag salute. The flag salute is going to be held by myself. If you want to follow along, please do. Please understand there's no disrespect in that we're not standing, and it is not, again, we're not disrespecting anybody at this moment or anything at all. With the challenges that we have going on tonight. So, Katie, would you please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Katie, can I get a roll call, please?
All right, roll call. Commissioner Blakely.
Here.
Commissioner Bradley.
Here.
Commissioner Church.
Here.
Commissioner Halley. Here. Chairman Mobley.
Here.
And excuse me, I don't see Vice Chair Rogers and Commissioner Seitz.
Here.
So thank you all for being here tonight. All right, so can we get approval of the minutes from February 9th meeting?
Make the motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
Second.
I didn't get that one.
I said I'll make the motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
I got that.
I second. Mark Seitz seconds.
Thank you.
All right, roll call. Excuse me, Commissioner Blakely.
Here.
Commissioner Bradley.
Yes.
Commissioner Church.
Yes.
Commissioner Halley.
Yes.
Chairman Mobley
Yes,
and Commissioner Seitz.
Yes.
thank you. All right, so we're going to open up to public comment tonight. Members of the public can be heard on any item of interest that is not on the agenda tonight. Please be advised that if you call in and if you talk to us about anything, we cannot, by law, take any deliberation or action at this time, but we would definitely love to hear from you. Katie, would you please put up the numbers? There you go. So those numbers that are, this is for anybody at home that is calling in for anything going on tonight. If you want to talk about something that's not on the agenda or something that is on the agenda, this is where you call, this is what you access, and this is how we are going to be able to listen to you. While we're waiting, how's everybody doing? Anybody have anything good going on? Anything spectacular happened to anybody this week? Somebody win the lottery?
I went to the casino and I came back with $5.63 better.
Yeah, you won. That's
But
good.
that's a winner.
That's a winner. Katie, were you getting anybody?
We are not.
Then I'll make the motion to close the open public comments at this time.
I'll second.
All right, then at this point, we're going to move on. If anybody is out there that didn't get a chance, please call in. We will stop what we're doing to listen to you. All right, so we have a public hearing to consider adoption of mitigated negative declaration of environmental impact. And sorry.
Hey, Chris, can I ask a quick question? We just made a
Yes,
motion.
sir.
Second, don't we need to vote on it?
No, I think Katie put it through on one of the meetings that if it's a simple thing, we're moving on. Am I
Technically,
right?
technically the chairman can close the public comment portions
Without a motion?
without a roll call vote.
Great, okay, sorry.
Yeah, I think we went over one night without having to worry about it too much on some of these things to where it's kind of moving things along. So again, tonight's business is public hearing to consider a adoption of a mitigated negative declaration of environmental impact mitigated report, adoption of consideration of permit of Ronerville Road Fire Station. I'm getting some background noise, so if anybody has their microphone open, please mute that. Thank you. All right. So can we get some background on this, please? Because it looks like there's a whole lot of background on this.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Mobley, and thank you, planning commissioners. So yeah, the applicant for this project is the Fortuna Fire Protection District, and they're proposing construction of a new fire station on an 8-acre parcel at the south end of Ronerville Road, just before it turns out of town. And the purpose of this is to basically replace the Camden Heights fire station. So, it's not really increasing any service except that it will, give them more room and, allow them to have more modern facility in a less crowded, it's the Camden Heights station on School Street is impacted by lack of parking and just the narrow nature of that road. So there are two parts to this tonight. You did read it in the title, the agenda title, but you'll be making two motions or, taking two actions after you hear the presentation. The first one, so this project is subject to the California Environmental Quality Act, and that requires adoption of some kind of an environmental report or review of a report. And then in this case, staff is proposing that you adopt a mitigated negative declaration of environmental impact. And the initial study that accompanied that is, part of your packet tonight. And that was really the main bulk of the packet. And also that motion will also adopt a mitigation monitoring and reporting program. And then the second motion would be to approve the conditional use permit with conditions of approval. So hopefully you had a chance to review those, and I will go over it now. And I'm going to put the overhead on to show you the exhibits here and give the public also a chance to understand the project. Let's see, slideshow. Okay. So this shows the project location. Again, it's this is Ronerville Road. It's just towards the end of the city. It's just above, north of Drake Hill Road, north of us, residential street, Kestrel Street, and then opposite are Palomino Place and Tony Drive. So there's an 8-acre parcel here. And you can see, generally it's still going to be in the Ronerville Camden Heights neighborhood. The existing station is on School Street, less than a mile away. And then this shows the site, Ronerville Road to the left of the image. And then this is the 8-acre parcel. And you can also see Kestrel Street here. It's just north. That is a residentially developed area. And then on the opposite side of Ronerville Road, Palomino and Tony Drive, also R16 zoning residential developed. And then the access road is on a residential parcel. And I like this overhead as well. It's the same as the previous, but you just get a better understanding of the neighborhood. You can see the kind of higher density development on Kestrel, and then you can see the half-acre zoning just to the east of that. So, and then the R16 zoning is also to the left. So you can really see on this image that, Camden Heights, which is all R16 sort of typical sort of smaller lot, single family development. And then to the east, to the right is half-acre and 1 acre zoning. And that's because the hillside really starts about midway through the fire department's parcel. So where you see these trees, and then where the half-acre zoning starts down here, that's really the break in the slope where it's still kind of trending uphill, but the portion that the fire department is going to be developing is a little more level with an upslope, and then it really becomes steep on the second half of the parcel. So that kind of helps determine why they chose the location for, on this parcel for that, for the fire station. It's got constrictions by the slope, and then you'll also see the map of the wetlands, which is in the lower left corner there. And then just real quickly, this is the zoning map and the parcel. You can see it's actually has 3 zones on it. Again, it's an 8 acre parcel, and the RL, this is the general plan designation for that establishes that R16 zoning and a certain density that is typical of that area that I just showed you. And then the half-acre development is the has the general plan designation of residential very low, and then a little bit of the, I think they just wanted to straighten out the line here, but this is residential rural and it's 1 acre. This gets pretty steep, so I don't know if this could be developed, but feasibly someone could, the fire department or someone could come along and get access to the upper part of the site by this private road here that serves some development to the east. But of course, that's not been proposed at all tonight. And then this is the zoning, R16, residential single family, 6,000 square foot minimum. And that is really the fire station zoning. And then the lot itself also has this RE21 half acre, and then the RE43 1 acre zoning. And as far as the zoning goes, so it is a single family zoning. But like all of the residential and commercial zones, certain uses are conditionally listed in the zoning code, and that does include what's called out as essential services, and also public and quasi-public uses. So those are all conditionally allowed in the R16 zone, and that's where the fire department use permit is coming in as an essential service. Obviously, a firefighting facility is an essential service, and it's also probably considered a quasi-public. So it's a public agency. It's not a city or a county, so it's a different type of public agency, and so it's considered a quasi-public use. So the zoning code or Fortuna Municipal Code does allow issuance of a use permit. And so that's what's being requested tonight. And then the conditions of approval, are all, and the site design and the conditions of approval are all geared towards making sure that the fire station is compatible and doesn't cause any conflicts or issues with that residential neighborhood. And we'll go over those. So this is the site plan. You can see the whole 8 acre parcel on this image. I have a close-up of the fire station on the next slide. I just wanted you to be able to see the entire site. And you can see, that the driveway is coming in on the existing driveway on the neighboring parcel, and then easement will be created for the shared use of that driveway. And Ronerville Road is to the left here. And here's a little bit of a close-up. So the project components, of course, include the fire station that's shown in brown here, kind of oriented towards the northwest, the driveway, parking lot, and then you can see the 13, there's 8 parking spaces on this side and then 5, I think 4 or 5 on the other. There's 13 parking spaces total. And then this is a turnaround for the fire trucks. There will be a sidewalk on the far side, on the north side. So that will be constructed. And then on this image, you can see the stormwater detention basin, the low impact development designed stormwater. It's a dry pond, and the purpose is to collect rainwater runoff from the parking lot and the building. And then that will be diverted into this stormwater channel and then into the culvert, and it's an existing culvert that then connects to the city stormwater system. And then you can kind of see a little bit, the light blue here is the existing wetland. So this site does have a 9.1 acre wetland that has been surveyed and delineated. And I'll talk about that later. I just kind of wanted to give you an idea of all the different components. And this map does show the 25-foot proposed setback from the wetland. And that's a request of the applicant. So the stormwater basin, the detention basin, is proposed to be located outside of the 25-foot setback. So normally under the general plan, a 50-foot setback from wetlands is required, but the general plan, of course, does allow reduction to a 25-foot setback with like a justification and through, an analysis done by a biological report. So that's part of the CEQA document and part of your packet. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. I'm going to get through the image, the basic layout. So the building footprint is 5,000 square feet. The total developed area is 41,000. So that leaves the parking facility of about 21,000 square feet and the detention basin of approximately 4,800 square feet. And then just other improvements associated with this would be pretty straightforward connection to water and sewer and other utility facilities that are located in Rooneyville Road and won't need upgrading there. It'll just need laterals to the facility. And then I think I already talked about the driveway to support ingress egress of the fire trucks. It's all pretty straightforward as far as the layout goes. And they are requesting the 25-foot setback because they're kind of compressed between the slope and the wetland. So this is really the only feasible area of the site. This image does show the retaining wall, and it would be a total of 11 feet into the hillside. And then I think at some point, it varies between 11 feet at the steepest or the tallest, and then 4 feet. So, pushing the building over to the west kind of helps reduce the size of that retaining wall. And then just a couple things about the operation of the site that not really associated with the site plan, but the operations of the facility. The main thing about that is the traffic and just the employee, the intensity of the use. So the typical response would involve on average 5 volunteers to the site. So that's really, the extent of the traffic is going to be, varying somewhat, but typically 5 employees per call, and then the other traffic associated with the apparatus and the vehicles that are responding to the call. So the traffic generated by the facility is actually going to be pretty low. especially, compared to if this site were developed in accordance with the zoning, so R16, you're going to see probably 20 houses if you compare to the development just to the south of this, the R16 and the RE20 zoning. I think comparably that was developed to 20 houses. So that's going to generate a lot more traffic, if it were developed under the land use and the zoning. So, compared to the 5 employees or the 5 volunteers and then the fire truck traffic, it's actually going to be pretty low. And as far as the call volume, it averages less than 1 call per 48-hour period and that's the code 3 response. I think the calls are about 1 per day, but the code 3 responses are just 1 per 48-hour period. And that's based on the 2020 response. So the lights and sirens are only going to be used for those code 3 incidents. And in 2020, there were 180 of those responses in the entire district. So, the noise level, and this is really responding to the concerns about noise. That's 1 call per every 48 hours that is going to have the sirens and the lights going off. And then, minor additional traffic to and from the location would be limited to monthly meetings and drills and facility maintenance and occasional events. For the most part, the more intense training will take place on the main facility on Fortuna Boulevard. So that's actually built as a training center, and actually the fire department's training facility is under construction now behind the main hall there. So, that's where the district-wide training is going to take place. And this facility is really going to be limited, I believe, to, just the volunteers who are going to be manning this site and the use of that equipment. So that extra traffic is going to be pretty minor as well. And then the other traffic issue has to do with the safety of the trucks entering onto Fortuna Boulevard, Ronaville Road. And we did have the city engineer help with an analysis of the what we call the line of sight. So as trucks are exiting onto Ronaville Road, and the other thing about the sirens is that the sirens won't be turned on until they get to this point, to the driveway. So it's going to be pretty minimal as far as the duration of the siren sound, just being turned on at the driveway, and then it's the brief time when they'll be driving on. And again, there won't be any actual increase in sirens. This is just a relocation. So some of the sirens already are in this vicinity, just from the Campton Heights existing facility. Relatively, the increase is just going to be new to this. A portion of that will be new to this neighborhood. So to get back to the line of sight, so the Caltrans, so the city engineer used the Caltrans Highway Design Manual, and that guidance is that the line of sight for vehicles entering Ronaville Road from the intersection is 500 feet. So they're going to need to see at least 500 feet in each direction in order to be able to respond and have cars respond to them. And then the stopping distance for vehicles traveling on Ronaville Road is, there's a need for 450 feet. And the total available line of sight at this intersection is 1,000 feet in each direction. So, based on that Caltrans Highway Design Manual, the intersection is safe for fire trucks and for vehicles traveling on Ronaville Road, and with a pretty good ample excess distance in each direction. So I'm going to move on from this slide. and just briefly show you, this is just a more detail of the wetland. So it is, it's pretty extensive. It's almost an acre. And you can see the source of the wetland is a spring up on the hillside right here. And that, that fills the whole thing. There isn't really any runoff from the rest of the hillside itself. So the source is not going to be impacted by the development of this hillside. And then the LID basins are designed to divert away from the wetland and not have any contaminants entering the wetland. Let's see. So again, the reduction from this shows a 25-foot setback. So they're requesting a reduction to 25 feet. And following circulation of the initial study, California Department of Fish and Wildlife personnel did visit the site. So they wanted to evaluate, the mapping and also the request for the reduction in the setback. And they did feel like, this is a really nice wetland. It's got some good value. And they said that the vegetation was pretty good. There were some non-natives that they would like to see removed. And that will be done in conjunction with the maintenance, during development. At some point, a couple of things will be done. So prior to construction, the wetland will need to be, they're going to need to demonstrate how they're going to protect it from vehicles and equipment being stockpiled in, in the setback area or disturbing the wetland itself. And then also, as far as for maintenance of the wetland, or just the enhancement of the area, they will be removing the Himalayan blackberry and other non-natives from the wetland and from the 25-foot buffer area. And they'll be retaining the native California blackberry within that area. And then within the 25-foot setback area, especially along the area to be developed, they'll be planting wax myrtles and coyote brush at a certain, at a certain density that's called out in that wetland reduction report. So again, the California Fish and Wildlife did visit the site, and they chose not to respond in writing, but they did verbalize that they don't object to the wetland setback reduction, and they agreed with the enhancements to the wetland. So, and then the building itself. So these are the proposed elevations. And so the applicant describes it as, intending for this design to fit in with the surroundings, with the colors fitting in, and the design, has a lot of architectural similarities to a residential development or residential structure. We see the pitched roof with the multiple elevations, the use of, strong eaves that give it a good, strong architectural feel to it. Gables with the vertical siding and horizontal siding on the walls. We've got the variation material with the use of the brick wainscoting and the columns as well, and a little residential type of balcony. And then we also have the glass paned roll-up doors, and then, nice use of color that I think fits in well with the residential neighborhood. So, it's going to be obviously larger than a typical residence, but, I think a lot of these features are going to make it, a pretty nice looking structure for the area. Let's see. So a couple more things. The main part of the building is one story, and this is the truck and the apparatus and equipment storage. And then this section is a 2-story with offices, and then a living quarters on top. So, and then you can see a couple of other. This is the rear. A couple of other elevations there. So, kind kind of the last part. So one of your motions will be to consider the environmental component and adopt, again, the mitigated negative declaration. So under CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act, projects are subject to CEQA, and a project is something that is defined by CEQA as something that is considered and to be approved by the local agency. So conditional use permits and development of the site is subject to CEQA. And that's just really preparing the analysis that is going to be able to consider the potential environmental impacts that must be considered by the lead agency prior to approval of a project. So it's really a disclosure to the public of what the potential impacts are going to be, and allows an informed decision. And it also is an opportunity, for the public to be informed and for the public to be able to comment on the project itself and the potential impacts. So in this case, instead of something like, typically we might hear about an environmental impact report, this is kind of a scaled down version for a smaller project. And the document that's prepared is the initial study, and the document to be adopted is the mitigated negative declaration, which is really the statement that the city is making about the findings. And also, so it helps us identify and allows us to mitigate any potential negative impacts. And then those mitigation measures are compiled into the mitigation monitoring and reporting plan, which is the next slide. But that initial study really goes over a wide range of topics, and I'm not going to go over all of these, but they are in the document, and it's kind of just a disclosure that these things have been considered by the city in making the decision. So the mitigation monitoring and reporting program did identify mitigation in order to reduce impacts to less than significant under the topics of air quality, and that generally includes BMP's best management practices for dust reduction to maintain air quality, biological resources, including special surveys for pre-construction surveys for special status birds, bats, amphibians, and reptiles, and measures to be taken if any archaeological or paleontological resources are uncovered during construction, which would be, stopping construction, getting a qualified specialist on site to evaluate, and then making a determination about the appropriate response. Hazardous materials, so how to prevent discharge of really construction phase hazardous materials, and then water quality, including BMPs to protect water quality, mostly during construction. And then the public notice is a really important part of both the CEQA process and just the Fortuna Municipal Code for conditional use permits. And so public review of that initial study, it was initiated on January 16th. That started a 30-day public comment period, and we have a pretty good dissemination of that initial study. It gets sent to the state clearinghouse, and they distribute it to state agencies that have an interest in the project. So that's like the natural resource agencies and others. And then it's posted in the Times Standard and posted on the city website. And because of that review, we did get a written response from the Regional Water Quality Control Board. And they just had some concerns and wanted some more details on how water quality was going to be protected during construction, and then also during washing of trucks and vehicles. And so some measures were adopted or proposed for those. And then also this is how Fish and Wildlife came to visit the site. So, and then the municipal code does require property owner notification. And I know we had, in the letters that were submitted by the neighbors, we had concerns about what they perceived as, insufficient notification. We did the municipal code has standards for notification, and this is really a common practice by cities throughout the state. There are also, not just in the municipal code, but there are also state requirements for notification on public hearings. And so we did send out 54 mailers to the property owners within 300 feet. The code requires at least 10 days before the public hearing. You know, unfortunately, we don't notice applications as they come in. It's really after we've reviewed it and after, you know, a lot of the internal analysis takes place. And then when the project is ready, you know, that's when it gets noticed. But, you know, definitely the purpose of that noticing is to allow the public to comment on the project. And so we did send out 54 properties. We actually sent it out about 3 weeks or about 20 days before the public hearing because, you know, we knew that it was going to be somewhat sensitive. It's a big project and that there are a lot of residences around it. So we did want to make sure that people had ample notice. Even though, you know, I understand, you know, where they're coming from, but, you know, this is really considered pretty good notice as far as cities go. And, you know, the municipal code gives us direction. So we did get 6 letters from the neighbors. And I do want to acknowledge, you know, that these have been provided to the Planning Commission and we take their comments seriously. So we did get letters from the neighbors, Lee McDowell, Janessa Carpenter, Kelly Renner, Fran Richardson, Andrea Souza, and David Walker. A lot of the comments were, you know, they were really common concerns by all, you know, pretty much all of these property owners, and that had to do with noise. They were concerned that the project was going to generate a lot of noise. I talked about the code 3 responses, you know, 180 per year. That's less than 1 every 2 days, and only leaving the site. And again, it already exists to some degree. So, you know, we don't think that that's going to be a significant or out of the ordinary noise generation. There will be a 30 kilowatt backup generator that will be tested. It needs to be tested for 1 hour per week. That's going to be done just during daytime hours, and that is in an enclosed building. So that's going to be pretty good noise attenuation to have it enclosed. You know, it's not going to be out in the open. Traffic, I talked about the traffic. Also, there will be a new street light at the driveway at Ronerville Road. So that's also going to help with traffic safety, at least at night. And then compatibility with the residential neighborhood. You know, the use permit does allow essential services and this public comment, you know, public process. I think I called out a lot of the, you know, measures that they're taking. They've designed a really nice building. They've got environmental protection measures. They're preserving the wetland, and there aren't any safety issues. So, you know, the use permit allows consideration of compatibility. And I think that the fire department, through their design and through that environmental review process, and then through the city review and comment on the project, I think that, you know, they've done a good job on compatibility and identifying the concerns and addressing them. And then there are, just in the use permit itself, there are certain conditions of approval. There are more than, you know, those listed here. I think I'm just calling out the ones that I think are, I don't know, more interesting or more important, more specialized just for the site. So the wetland and setback area enhancements are conditions of approval. So that's how they'll get implemented, you know, and the use permit really is an ongoing, you know, it becomes part of the project and it becomes enforceable. So, you know, applicants are obligated to comply with all of those conditions on a long-term basis. So, you know, that's actually a benefit of having a use permit is, you know, things that aren't normally enforceable if they don't exist in the municipal code as an ordinance, you know, we're allowed creating conditions of approval that establishes enforceable standards. So the wetland and setback area enhancements, protecting wetlands during construction, a landscaping plan for the improved areas of the site. So they will, as a condition of approval, prepare and submit a landscaping plan that's going to show how they're going to landscape, the rest of that developed part of the site. Exterior lighting to be downcast and not directed onto other properties or into the night sky. Dedicating an easement for that shared driveway. The vehicle wash water will have to discharge in a way that complies with state and city stormwater guidelines so that it doesn't go directly into the wetlands or into the city stormwater. But that's something that they will be able to design on their building permit plans. And then general improvements to comply with city standards. That really just includes like the driveway, the access road, street lights, utilities, and stormwater. So thank you for bearing with me. These are the two motions in front of you. One is the first one, P 2021-2058, is to adopt that mitigated negative declaration and the mitigation monitoring and reporting program. And the second resolution, P-2021-2059, is for the conditional use permit. So I'm going to hand that back to you. We do have Lon Winburn, the fire chief, here. And then we have Andrea Hilton. She's with GHD, and she really carried the initial study and put it together and presented that to the city. So I will hand that back to the chairman.
Thank you, Liz. That was a long one. Okay, so to the rest of you, anybody have any questions or comments for staff at the moment?
I have a question for staff. If we wanted to table either one motion or both, we can do that as a planning commission, correct?
The Planning Commission has the authority or ability to continue a public hearing without adopting. Sure, that's part of your ability. I wouldn't do just one though, because they really go together.
Absolutely.
For clarity's sake, motion one is with the environmental quality report or study or whatever.
Yeah.
And motion two is to actually grant the use permit for that site, correct?
Correct, yes.
Any more questions?
You turned your.
Go ahead.
On page 223, it says, this is in response to comment C6, notification of the project. And it says that the people within a 300-foot radius got written notice 10 days ago. Is that correct?
Yes, we mailed those out on February 2nd.
And then, of course, it says the time standard had notice on January 16th. And then it says in-person efforts to notify nearby residents of the project were not possible as planned due to the COVID-19 global pandemic. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, I think at some point, the fire chief, Lon Winburn, that was his comment. So I think he would be able to respond to that.
Yeah, Lon Winburn here, and yeah, thank you for the chance to respond. Yeah, that was back in April. We had put together a plan to go door to door, and then realized that probably wasn't a great idea, just because of COVID. And so then we thought about mailing letters out to the residents, and felt that was impersonal. And then one thing led to another, and here we are. So, our intent was to do that, and I personally think we're part of this community. Have been for a long time, and I feel that would have been the right thing to do. I think timing just was terrible. So at any rate, that's the reason it didn't go door to door. The intent was there, but we let COVID get in the way, and maybe we shouldn't have.
Lon, could you talk to us more about, it seems like almost all the public comment, people are not happy about the notice, coming this close, and they wanted more participation from the fire department. So could you speak to that? For me, that seems like the big issue.
Well, I think that's what I was kind of alluding to. You know, we did have intents to get out there to the public back in April, and do the door-to-door thing. Due to the COVID thing, we felt that was not a good choice. We felt that we would be people wouldn't appreciate coming door to door with COVID just kind of taking off a little bit. So our intent was to get back out there midsummer, fall, somewhere in there, and take another shot at it. And things didn't get better with COVID, as you know. So and then from there, it just time got behind us. So again, I'll say the same thing. We're part of this community, and we appreciate the people that support us. And the whole community has always supported us. We certainly want this project to blend. And I do think that we are willing and capable to calm the fears that are out there in regards to noise, in regards to traffic concerns, all that sort of thing. I hope that helps answer your question.
Well, let's think too about a solution. What would be what do you propose doing, to alleviate some of these concerns that the public is expressing at this point?
I would say I'm prepared to answer any questions that come up, whether it's regarding why we chose that location, whether it's regarding traffic safety concerns, call volume, all of that.
Well, let's start with that one, because I know I brought that up a little while ago. Is why did you choose that location?
That location, Liz alluded to the line of sight thing per Caltrans studies. And the one thing that we needed to enter Ronerville Road was line of sight. So that was the primary reason for looking at that piece when we found it and considering it. We looked at Airport Road, we looked at Drake Hill Road. And as you all know, if you come out on Drake Hill Road and want to go north towards downtown, that's just not going to work. That turns right there. So that area, and that would be our heaviest response, would be to off of Drake Hill Road onto Ronerville Road, and more so to the north and to the south. So that pretty much eliminated that. And we didn't really want to go through that more congested residential zone if we were somewhere around Airport Road. We didn't want to go down Thelma. We didn't want to go down Ronald to get to School Street. That wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. So that was the primary reason for choosing that site. It's also a good location to serve the immediate area. It gives us quick access to downtown to support the downtown station, gives us quick access to Hydesville to support that effort. And we're close to the airport, which is a little bit more of a low frequency but high hazard area for us.
So noise-wise, Lon, because I know that's going to be has been, looking at some of the comments, a factor. I've read through it. The citywide siren up on the pole, will that be installed?
I'm going to say no to that. I know that's an issue. No, that the pole siren is not going to move to that location. So we can definitely assure you of that. The pole sirens downtown will remain. We are looking at a curfew for those. So that's something that we'll see in the future. The Campton Heights station the current Campton Heights station is on the table for possible sale. The commissioners have not made a decision on what they're going to do with that. The siren would stay there until that station goes. So I can't really answer to that for that particular pole siren, but there will be no pole siren at the Ronerville station. In talking about the generator, as Liz mentioned, the generator will be housed inside, and we'll make sure there's extra protection for that as far as insulation goes and that sort of thing. It will run 1 hour per week on a weekday schedule, and of course it will run for power outages, obviously. And if I can address the truck sirens, so I ran stats today from January 1 through this morning. And out of that station, in that time period, which is about 7 weeks, we had 25 responses out of that station. 8 of those were code 3. The remainder were code 2, no lights, no sirens. 8 of those were code 3. And out of those 8, only 6 would or did require siren usage. Code 3 doesn't mean that we flip the siren on. We do flip the lights on, but the sirens are utilized based on traffic conditions, pedestrian and vehicle traffic. And we just don't run them at 3 o'clock in the morning. We're not going to flip siren on. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't do anybody any good. If there's no
There you
traffic,
go. There you go.
if there's no traffic, we just don't need a siren. And our operators are very well schooled in that. And I understand where people are coming from, because you think of a fire station and what do you think? You know, it's nothing but sirens blaring. Well, that's really not the case.
So, Lon, can I ask you a quick question? One more. So, at your 2 current stations, they're in on Ronerville, excuse me, downtown and in Campton Heights. How many complaints do you get for noise from your neighbors at this time?
The only complaints we get are due to the pole sirens. I have never had a complaint about a fire engine siren. So I've had complaints about other things regarding fire engines, but certainly not about the sirens. The pole sirens, yes, we do get complaints about that, and understandably so. I get it. What people don't understand is that is one of our primary ways to communicate, being a volunteer agency. So we certainly don't want to see those pole sirens go away, but we do need to look at curfews and other options. But again, not at the Ronerville station site.
Anybody else have any? Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
A quick personal one. Lon, how long have you been our fire chief here in Fortuna?
Since 2005. I was a volunteer fire chief from 2005 to 2010 and came on full time in 2010.
So you've been with our fire department how long?
35 years.
Terrific. What will become of the old Campton Heights fire station property?
Currently unknown. We don't know. Some of us would like to keep it as a place to store the old equipment, which we have quite a bit of. But at the same time, I think the commissioner board is really looking seriously at selling that property and maybe building something out towards the behind our Hydesville station to take care of that equipment. So those things are on the table, but no decision has been made yet.
What is the purpose of the living quarters up top of the proposed construction? What will that be used for?
Twofold. Number one is futures. Down the road, 10, 20 years, you know, we don't know, but we want to be prepared. Same as with this main station. When this station was built, the upstairs living quarters was a shell from, well, for the first 15 years of this building's life, just a big old empty shell. And we finally developed it. We have a staffing program now that volunteers participate in, and we have a resident and intern program as well. The intent with the Ronerville property is to do the same, have it available, and we will probably move forward with having that completed with the intent that we want to house, or we may end up housing residents there. And those residents would be the folks that come down and pull shifts here at the main station to cover response. Not out of that station, but they would come down here to pull shifts. So it could be the intent is that it would be a resident quarters. And I know that not everybody understands our resident program and our volunteer shift program and our intern program. I understand that. That the intent of that project would be to help fulfill those needs.
Would the property be used for community activities and available for rental?
No to the rental. We would support out of that facility youth activities, nonprofits needing a place to meet, something to that effect on a very small scale. There's not a ton of room there, and we know that. And we don't currently rent the Campton Heights station, and we have no intent to rent the Ronerville station. Not like we do the main station here.
There's a residence at the kind of the end of this driveway, correct?
Yes.
Do you have their support?
Yes. We do. In fact, that's is where the easement for the roadway will come from. Well, I'm assuming you mean at the eastern end of that driveway.
I think that on the map, it looks like just one property actually, like the fire trucks will pull out through the same way that they have to get to their house, correct?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, so there's a larger house that sits up on the hill, and that again is the person that owns the property that roadway is on, and we'll be working with them on the easement for the road. The other property that's on the corner of the Ronerville Road, we've talked with that property owner as well, and they would like to see some sort of a fencing measure put in there, but otherwise than that, they feel the project was compatible.
I have a question for Liz. Liz, do we meet the legal requirements for notifying the residents within a 300-foot radius of this proposed building site?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the municipal code and the state law. So minimum, for every public hearing, we do that. If there's a public hearing on the agenda, which most of our projects are public hearings, it absolutely, we notice to all of the property owners within 300 feet of the project site.
All right, thank
At
you.
least 10 days.
Liz, can I follow up on that one?
Uh-huh.
Where's the 300 feet start? At the project location, like at the center of the building, or at the roadside?
At the edge of the property. So we take we use the assessor parcel maps that we have access to, and we measure from the outer property line. So it's the perimeter of the property, measure 300 feet. And if any property, even if the corner of it is within that radius or that circumference, a circle, then they get a notice.
Have we done more in the past?
We've never gone larger unless we just, use our own judgment on a particular project. Sometimes we'll include, if there's just a few more on the outer ring, we'll include them. Or, in this case, we sent it out a week early because, we were already doing the notices for, we had the noticing going on for the CEQA document. So we knew that this was going to be, more of a high profile project. So we did give them an extra week. And I think it was helpful. We got the letters, it just gave them an extra week I know that some of them talked to their other neighbors and they were able to write, some informative letters to the city. And we got those, ahead of the agenda deadline or the packet deadline. So that's why they were in your packets ahead of time, and not just being submitted, on the day of the meeting. So I think it was helpful that we sent those out a little bit early.
Might I just interject Andrea from GHD, hi. As a point of information, the commissioners, you guys all have the letters and the responses in your packets. Members of the public who may be calling in might not yet realize or know that the fire department did actually go through each comment seriously and prepare written responses to each, point raised in each letter. So I just wanted to share that as a quick point of information.
Thank you.
I have a question. So I'm seeing that in April of 2020, tribal communities throughout Humboldt County were informed of this project, correct?
Yes, that's a state law that when a project is submitted and as part of the initiation of the CEQA process, the tribes in the community who request notice, or we contact them, ahead of time. Some of them, like the Blue Lake Rancheria, has said that they don't need to see our projects. But yes, they did receive a detailed description of the project and the maps. And so that allows them to comment and to, identify if they have any special requests or know of any sensitivity about that site.
Which tribal communities were contacted then?
The Ronerville Rancheria, I think the Yurok.
It was the Bear River and the Wiyot tribe, where there's a formal process where you outreach to an agency that tells you which tribes that you need to notice, or the city has its own list, in this case potentially. So it's a formal process that informs which tribes you need to notify. So it was the Wiyot tribe and Bear River based on the location of the project.
So the tribes were informed 10 months before the residents that will be living around the station, correct? They got notice 10 months before the people who got notice 10 days
Yeah.
ago?
Yes, the state law is that they receive notification when the CEQA analysis is initiated, and that allows any of their concerns to be incorporated into the CEQA document, rather than after the fact or at the end of the process.
So reading all these letters on my end, I don't see any that I see what we've been talking about for the last few minutes. It's more of the notification, not about not wanting the station. It's more about notification. Am I wrong on that from anybody? Has everybody read all these letters and followed
Yeah,
all this?
I think they have concerns about the noise. I mean, their letters express concerns about the noise, and I think we addressed that as far as, the sirens really not being that as frequent as they probably are imagining. And the generator noise, the generator is going to be, enclosed within a building, so that's not going to end up being noisy. The traffic, I think we've addressed the traffic, with an average of 5 volunteers per incident, that's going to generate very little traffic compared to what would be there for residential development. And then, the line of sight is better than the minimum standard. So, and then I think they had some the one that came in today had a compatibility concerns. And I think with the noise and the traffic being addressed, and then seeing the design of the building and the treatment of the site, I think the compatibility issue has been addressed as well.
Yeah. Anybody else have any issues or comments about this? Katie, how many people do you got sitting on hold?
Looks like we have possibly 3. I'm not sure. I have 1 hand raised right now that would like to speak during the public comment period.
All right. So we would like to hear from anyone about this. I'm not going to give a time limit tonight because this is a big project and everybody needs to be heard on what they want to say. And we'd like to keep it open and the communication going. If it starts to get to a point, then I'll interrupt. But right now I'm going to open it to public comment. So Katie, would you please?
Okay, I'm going to open up for the first person that has their hand raised, and then I'm going to share the screen, so bear with me.
Thank you for doing that. Do you have a name of the person? Hello?
Hi, my name is Kelly Renner. I had written one of the letters that was sent in.
Hi, Kelly. Thank you for coming. In.
Thank you for having it. We obviously did have some concerns about the compatibility being in our neighborhood, and I do appreciate the effort to answer the majority of those questions. As you did state before, we definitely were kind of surprised by the project. The notification did seem to be somewhat sudden for a lot of us. I understand the 300-foot radius being how you determine who you notify, but it seemed like a lot of the people that will be impacted were still not notified. People in our neighborhood who just happen to live, 5 houses down or something, would end up not getting notified, even though the driveway is just across from the street to get to their house. And I do get the COVID pandemic has put a damper on a lot of things, obviously. So I get not going door to door. Maybe in summer it could have been done. I went door to door with my mask on and I stood way far back and just asked if people had heard about it, and it seemed to go just fine. Like in my letter, of the 23 houses I did go to, 4 of those were the direct houses on Kestrel that back up to the property. And of those 4 houses, only 2 did receive the mailing when I had gone by. So I'm not sure what happened with those, but they found out about the fire station from me, and it just didn't seem like that was how it should have been done. So I do think that that was definitely a main concern. Another concern, obviously, is the noise. We understand that the lights and sirens are not always utilized, and we do get that it was only 180 calls, it seems like, for 2020. However, 2020 was not a typical year in any means. Those response statistics don't really seem like they will be accurate moving forward, as we were in a stay-at-home order for so long of the year, and there were no public events being held. There was less traffic on the road, so obviously less accidents and less calls. So I don't know that those numbers are really realistic for what we should expect in our neighborhood. The increased traffic, 5 people per call coming in, if there is only 180 calls, that's still 900 additional vehicles driving into that driveway per year. And that's if we only have 180 calls that need lights and sirens. That's not including all the calls. So there will be a definite increase in traffic, and we already have a traffic issue back here for sure. We have a school bus stop directly across from where the fire station will be. We also have no crosswalks, so people are trying to bolt between traffic as it is to get over there. So we would appreciate some sort of safety lights. I think if that's something that we can get worked in, where when there's a call, lights could be turned on to get traffic to slow down and pay attention, because we have so many people walking around. We have kids on bikes and people walking their dogs, and we have lots of elderly people around too, going out on their walks. And a street light being added at the driveway only just doesn't seem like it's going to do enough for the traffic situation to make it feel like a safe thing to have. And I do get that if they were to build houses, there would be increased traffic as well, completely. But I don't know that 20 homes would be realistic in that location, based on the wetland area and what I would assume would need to be preserved for any other type of construction as well. So just some concerns about the traffic, noise, and those kinds of things. Glad there won't be public events. Obviously, it looked like the parking lot wouldn't really allow for it. But we do really think that the traffic situation should be further addressed.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for her? Well, thank you so much. It sounds like you got a handful going on right now.
Yeah, sorry. It was dinner time and then almost bedtime. I got 2 crazy kids running around.
It sounds like it. We really do appreciate you calling in. We really do. And we're going to try to address all your concerns. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Katie, do we have anybody else on the line? Thank you so much. Katie. Yeah, Katie, can you hear me? You're muted. Liz, can you hear me? Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. All
There
right, how
you
about
are.
the 845 number 55935 with your hand raised? You can go next.
Okay. Are you there?
I am, yes.
Thank you. Can you tell us your name and please?
Yeah, my name's David Wallaker. I sent in one of the letters opposing the project.
Thanks, David. Good to hear from you. So go ahead. Let us know what you got going on.
Well, I didn't even know about this until Kelly came to our door, and then we went and checked our mailbox and found the letter. So that was kind of, the whole short notice thing was a little bit of a shock. I also wasn't aware that there was going to be a street light added, which I also don't want to look at from my home. And then, the noise complaints and just living next to a fire station all seem counterproductive. If I wanted to do that, I think I'd still live in Eureka. I moved here to get away from it, and I moved to this part of Fortuna specifically to get away from the sirens and the noise and the traffic and all that. And I really enjoy the peaceful neighborhood. And so my question would be, do any of the people who are approving this project live in the neighborhood or in the vicinity?
I don't know.
Because
Any
it
other
just
questions?
seems like a really bad idea to take a neighborhood and add, a industrial aspect, so to speak, with heavy, trucks and sirens. And, I really don't want to look at it.
All right. Thank you. Any other comments?
No, just that if it goes through, I will be appealing. So thanks for hearing me out.
All right. Thank you so much for calling in. Katie, do you have anybody else?
I do have one more hand raised. One moment.
Thank you.
The 396. Go ahead.
Hello? Is there somebody there? Oh, I hear something.
Hi, this is Kelly. Sorry, I think I hit it more than once.
Okay.
So I think it was just me again
All right.
while I was
Kelly.
waiting, but I'm good.
You're all done. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Katie.
I'm not seeing anybody else. Let me look one more way.
Yeah, we'd definitely love to hear from everybody. Kevin, are you on?
Okay, I don't have any other hands raised.
All right, thank you. Kevin,
Yeah, I'm here.
so being in the insurance business, and I know I do this, so I'm going to do it to you. Being in the insurance business, as far as property values, home values, that kind of thing, people living in and around the fire department, does that help or hinder coming from an insurance perspective?
When you have a home that's close to fire hydrants and a fire station, they look at response time, and it does affect home insurance rates. It actually makes the premiums go down dramatically. And if somebody's home is escrowed, that means their monthly payments would also be less. So there is a benefit to be closer to a fire station when it comes to being a homeowner, especially in this environment because of where we're at. We're more in a brush area comparatively than to Eureka. So I don't know about you, but I'm not saying I'm for or against this, but being closer to a fire station, wherever you're at, is a lot better served than one being further away. Just do the
So from the last callers, where I was going with this is, I understand looking for peace and quiet. Trust me, definitely understand that part of what his concerns were. But reading in some of these comments as far as home values and property values. So in your opinion, as an insurance broker, does it usually, the property values go up or down?
I've seen it go up.
Okay. So looking for a professional opinion at that point. Okay, Katie, anybody else on one?
No new calls.
All right, thank you. All right, so hearing none, looking to close public comment.
So moved.
Looking for a second.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to move on. So we're going to come back to the planning commissioners. You're all here. Any questions, comments about anything we've heard tonight, as far as the notifications, the comments we're getting from the public, from the letters, anything like that?
Can I address the mailings a minute?
You can address anything you want.
I've noticed that here in the city of Fortuna, especially with my business, that one day somebody can mail something from Fortuna and be to me in 3 days. Another time it could be 3 weeks. We do have a problem with our mail in this community. And I know that, and Liz, you're gonna have to help me out here. I'm not sure what the window is, but I know when I was a planning commissioner back in Indiana, you had to notify people within 30 days of the meeting with regards to anything that's within that 300-foot radius. I don't know what ours is for Fortuna, but I think we need to take into consideration that with COVID, it's noticed nationwide that when it comes to the U.S. Postal Service, that there are delays in the delivery service. And I think going forward, we need to address that and maybe put that into our leeway if it's at all feasible.
Liz, you there?
Yeah, so, I mean, going forward, I think it's something that we can, we can look into and see what the timelines actually are. We can maybe communicate with the post office and just do some, we can do some testing ourselves to see what the situation actually is.
Let me give you a concise example. I sent a certified letter to Eureka. On Wednesday, they said, oh, it'll be there by Thursday, Friday at the latest. It took a week. Certified letter took a week to get to Eureka from Fortuna. So
I got you beat, Kevin. My dad sent me a letter from Lincoln. 10 days before Christmas, we got it yesterday.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. I've had mail that didn't get delivered to a customer back from 2017 to my office is undeliverable 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So we do have an issue here, Liz. And I'm not saying that it's the city's issue, but it is an issue for our constituents that are addressing this. And I can understand their concerns with regards to how they get notified. But I hope they understand too that there's some things that are out of your hands and it's really in the Postal Service hands too. And that's just a very difficult situation we're all going to have to figure out how to work with.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the good news is that they did, we know at least a certain number of them did get them. So I don't know if the batch, the 53 letters that we sent out, if some of those got diverted somehow, I don't know. All of them were sent from City Hall to Fortuna addresses. So hopefully they all got received, but we at least know that a batch of them did. But I think, moving forward, we can do some detective work and just kind of, do some testing, talk to the post office, see if they know what kind of issues there are in Fortuna. And then also just, be sensitive and try to get the notices out even a few weeks earlier.
Mark, you got something?
Yeah, I have a follow-up. What, from Liz's perspective or anyone, Lon, what's the downside if we choose to table this tonight to allow more time for more public input? What's the downside to that? How would that impact things negatively, or would it?
Lon here. I guess from the fire district standpoint, we're looking to, get the project out to bid. Obviously we can't do that until this is solved so we can finalize the plan set and move forward with that, because that's all going to take a fair amount of time as well. And it's a big project. We're hoping to get, we're hoping to get the project up and running and done before the dead of winter next year. So I guess that would be probably the biggest impact on our part, if that makes sense.
So Mark, can I ask you, ask you. You've talked about it a couple times and just want to touch on it. So why would you want to table it?
Well, I guess I would respond with this question. Do you guys normally, as a planning commission, get this kind of feedback where the community immediately around it is shocked? And you had, Kelly Renner, residents, maybe some of them found out from her as opposed to the fire department or the city. So is that normal?
Her, but there was a letter in their mailbox. It's not our fault that they don't check the mail.
So we normally get feedback like this on projects?
We've gotten a lot of feedback on different ways. Yeah.
We've had some large attendance and some with next to no attendance. And
not saying that this is that there is a bad thing that we got what we got. We call ourselves the friendly city. So Liz saying that she sent it out early and doing that kind of thing was a good thing. I think that I know myself, if something was going on in my neighborhood and I'm not looking in time standard, just it ain't happening. Putting it in that just seems like I'm not looking at anybody else, be honest. Anybody else looking at time standard every morning to see what's going on in their neighborhood? It's just okay. So it's not happening. Nobody gives a damn what's going on in time standard, what's going on in your neighborhood. You're waiting for that letter to come in your mailbox. So there's honesty.
is there a thing on Lost Coast Outpost that we can post things on too when it comes to something like this?
The minimum requirement is to publish it in a newspaper of general circulation.
Knowing historically, since I've been living in this community, most people look to Lost Coast Outpost for pretty much any thing regarding community activities and so forth. And I think, doesn't Lost Coast Outpost usually allow something like that for free for the city, for nonprofits?
I don't know.
So it's a published legal notice that does have to meet statutory CEQA guidelines. It's not like an informational news article. I don't believe the Lost Coast, so it's in the back by the classifieds, right? Like that's the type of publishing that's legally required under CEQA. And the Lost Coast Outpost, doesn't have a legal section that would, I don't think, meet those statutory guidelines. It could be an additional step that an agency could choose to take, but it wouldn't substitute for the legal noticing required by law.
No, I'm suggesting it as an additional.
Katie,
this time of epidemic.
Katie, I see a hand raised. Is there somebody that?
That's
are you there?
Kelly Renner's. That's still Kelly Renner.
Oh, okay.
Katie.
Kelly's putting the kids down. Okay, so back at you guys. Where you want to go?
Hello. Wait. Hello.
Oh, somebody's talking.
That's correct.
Okay, come on up. Let's listen.
I was to make a comment on what's going on. First of all,
let's start with what's your name?
Dale Sandow.
Hi, Dale.
Hey. My major complaint is there was not sufficient notice. Okay, that's so obvious. And as I see it, we have a lot of playing around with. We're going to push this forward. We're going to have it all happen. I go down the street, by the way, and that a few, not even a block down, I see the clearing already. This is always kind of, it is a foregone conclusion with, I don't know who is all behind this, it's going to happen. And first of all, what I probably should have prefaced all this, I admire, the emergency service. I've had a wife who's been ill for a long time, and there's been a lot of response. And, what I'm saying is, this would only be down the road by about 300 yards. She could have been taken care of. And I appreciate the emergency services and what this community does. Okay, I have to say that first. I guess I have to say that I look at the process of all this, and I'm hearing my neighbors who are adjacent to this proposed or planned fire station. I mean, they're right next door to this, and it seems to me that they were not adequately advised. And then I look at how I was advised. I'm just across the street, by the way. I live at Kestrel, and I'm looking at the date of your advice, and how could there be any community discussion other than I've heard, and by the way, I've been involved. As a matter of fact, I was controller of a multi-discipline engineering firm that did studies and implemented for AT&T transcontinental engineering.
Dale, can I ask you a quick question?
Wait a minute, I'm not finished yet.
I understand.
Wait, please.
Go ahead.
And I remember in those processes to do a transcontinental or bits and pieces we did along the way. There were major notices. And what's happened here is, as near as I can tell, you've given little notice to the people who are adjacent to this project. I don't see it. I haven't read the whole 174 pages of your declaration, but I don't see it. The only thing I've seen is you've, I guess, been compelled to give some consideration to the native population, the archaeological aspects, the environmental, but you really haven't given, I think, any real true concern and study of the people who are around here.
I got 1 minute.
Yep.
Go ahead. You got 1 minute.
I have 1 minute.
You got 1 minute.
Okay. So my point being is, I'm hearing the people in the neighborhood that don't feel they've been adequately informed, and I have, a letter here that it was postmarked February 4 to inform the people around here. That's outrageous. Give me the date. I think it's what?
The 23rd.
February. What? There
23rd.
you go. Is that enough? You think?
Well, according
Truly,
to statute,
think about that.
according to statute, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to re-up on that, but I don't think that's enough.
That's
these
what we're
people's
discussing at the moment.
properties. Wait. These people's properties are at risk. I think there may have been, an idea that that could have been discussed a bit more. I don't see it in your declaration. I don't see it.
Okay. All right. Anything else real quick that you want to say before?
We're good. I think I'm
thank you
done.
so much.
And thank you for hearing this. Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
All right.
All right. Katie, we got anybody else? All right. So we're going to close public comment now. Anybody have anything else they want to talk about? I like I said, I can see there's a lot of people upset about the public comment thing as far as the notification thing. It sounds like we went beyond what we're supposed to, from what I've been told. But again, it's not my decision what's going on here tonight. It's all yours. So what's going on is up to you. What's going on? Talk to me. Mark.
I would love to hear from Commissioner Church, Commissioner Halley, and Commissioner Blakely.
I have lived across the street from a firehouse before in my life, and I actually admired it and was thankful it was there. The noise didn't bother me because it did get kind of in the distance. You do get used to it. Fire stations are kept so beautifully. It's a very safe environment. I think it's a positive element in any neighborhood. That's my opinion.
I think we gave adequate notice to the residents. I think we went above and beyond what we're required to. I'm sorry that some of them didn't get it or didn't go to their mailbox or, you know, had to hear it from a neighbor or whatever. But, you know, we met the requirements of the statutes and the law. The fact of the matter is, you know, no matter where we decide to put this fire hall, we're going to face the same issues, no matter where it is.
Jason?
Yeah, you know, as far as the fire department going in, I don't have a problem with it. I don't, like you said, you're not going to ever please everyone. I think it would be good to have it there. I don't see an issue with the fire department itself. The main thing that I see, which is the same thing, it's just a broken record, is the notices. And, you know, Liz saying that, you know, she met the minimum requirement. Me, you know, you, like you said, you're the friendly city. We're the friendly city. Minimum requirement. I mean, come on, you know, big project. I would have to say, even as you know, pointing some blame towards Lon, is I think he should have gone out there a little bit harder and notified more people and in any aspect because of how big the project is. But, you know, we're here now. People know about it now. Hopefully the people that need to know about it. But, you know, as far as the project, I don't see an issue with it. Like I said, it's more the notice thing for me.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Andrea? Okay. So I guess at this point, we're going to a motion, whatever that motion might be.
I just want to add one quick thing. You know, the noticing is what it is, and we did meet, you know, the city requirement and the state requirement, and we did send it out a little bit earlier, and, you know, it's something that we'll be sensitive about in the future. And it's actually even something we can talk about with the council if they want to expand the noticing requirements. I know that some cities do, but, you know, this is really the typical noticing. And, you know, the comments, the concerns, you know, I understand the neighbors' concerns, and it can be kind of, you know, surprising and jarring to have a new project in your neighborhood that you're not anticipating, you know, and you know, that's a personal thing that does affect people. The comments and concerns, I think, were addressed really well by Andrea and Lon, you know, as far as the noise and the traffic. And, I think that the fire department was really concerned about doing a good project, and the design of the facility is, I think, really going to be an enhancement, or, not, it's going to be it's as good as you can get for that neighborhood. It's got residential, but it also has a really strong sense of, where it is in the neighborhood with those architectural features and the environmental protection that they're doing on the site. So, the concerns, I don't know if any earlier noticing would have changed any of the concerns or the ability of the fire department to respond to those concerns. So I think it was still, the process was a good, solid process, and and the concerns were addressed appropriately. So
I just wanted to voice my concern. I don't see the process as being perfect. I think it is big enough, and I kind of picked up from our fire commissioner a bit of a reluctance that you wish you could have done more with COVID, and I would like to see us put this off to the next meeting and maybe put some sort of public notice or something out in the Lost Coast Outpost and the newspaper, just to have more input. If we move forward with it tonight, then my vote will be no on that ground. I do support the fire station, and I would in 2 weeks, but tonight, if we move forward, I'll be voting no because of the process, because I think the way we respect our community members is not just to follow the letter of the law, but to think about, how it impacts the larger community. And that's why we're here. So those are my thoughts, and I don't mean any malice. I think it's a great project. It's going to be good for the community. I just think we should wait and give people a little more time. If they don't know, there still might be people that Kelly Renner and others are telling about in the community.
So on that note, Mark, what do you think we're going to get out of it? Do you think we're going to get more of the same? Or are we going to get more? We're going to get a different?
I'm not sure. I think, people like myself, I tend to value inclusion very highly, and I do know how to help build consensus for things. And I think COVID has made it difficult. But for me, I think that if we move forward tonight, you'll just have residents who always know the rest of their life that planning commission pushed it through. And that's my feeling, just kind of on the emotions and the, the public psychological side of it.
Anybody else? Okay, hearing nothing. Looking for a motion or whatever that might be.
I'll make the motion to adopt resolution number P-2021-2058, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Fortuna adopting a mitigated negative declaration of environmental impact of the Ronerville Road Fire Station.
Second that.
Okay. Katie?
Roll call vote. Commissioner Blakely,
Yes.
Commissioner Bradley,
Yes.
Commissioner Church,
Yes.
Commissioner Hallie,
Yes.
Chairman Mobley,
Yes.
and Commissioner Seitz.
No.
Okay, motion number 2.
I'll make the motion to adopt resolution number P-2021-2059, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Fortuna approving a conditional use permit for the Ronerville Road Fire Station.
I'll second.
All right, roll call vote again. Commissioner Blakely,
Yes.
Commissioner Bradley,
Yes.
Commissioner Church,
Yes.
Commissioner Hallie,
Yes.
Chairman Mobley,
Yes.
and Commissioner Seitz.
No.
All right. So here's where we're at. Thank everybody for being part of it. This is going to come back for design review, isn't it not, Liz?
no, it's not subject to design review because it's in the public. It's a public facility project. the zoning doesn't require design reviews. So I think, through the use permit process and just the site plan and the application and the public hearing process, I think, as far as the design of the building, I think, they've met, certain basic standards and given it a lot of consideration, but the code doesn't require design review. But they will be submitting a landscaping plan because that's a condition of approval, which, that's one of the benefits of having a use permit process, that we can ask for something like that. But no, the design is the design that was approved with those elevations.
Okay. All right, I'm looking for a staff report.
What's that?
Do you have any staff report tonight?
Oh, the staff comments. No, I just, appreciate everybody's concern and just your time. This was a big project, and there's a lot of material, and I know, for the commission, I guess in that regard, you guys don't have a lot of time as well. And this one is kind of bigger than usual. So thanks for all of your input and just your consideration of the project.
Well, I appreciate everybody showing up and all the comments we got from everyone. It is a big deal for everybody to get their voice heard, and definitely appreciate that. And anybody at home that's watching that didn't get their voice heard, please come back on the next one, because there's always a next one, so we can all hear everybody. So thank you, and looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All right, thank you
Last
all.
roll call.
Last roll call.
Last roll call vote. Commissioner Blakely,
Yes.
Commissioner Bradley,
Yes.
Commissioner Church,
Yes.
Commissioner Halley,
Yes.
Chairman Mobley,
Yes.
and Commissioner Seitz.
And yes.
Thank you all. Have a great one.
Yeah.
Good night.
Thanks, everyone.